Hi everybody, I'm Rain Stickland, and today I'm going to talk about indie versus traditional publishers and which one may be right for you. Follow me. So for today, it's a big one. It's a very big decision to make. And for pros and cons, number one for each of them is kind of identical. Let me explain. Traditional publishers offer a filter so that they really only publish what they think is good and will sell, which is a huge bar to entry in one way, but in another way, it means that if you're published through them, you've been vetted, basically. They have taken a look at your work and they've decided that you are worth having on the team. So people who go to read books then look at where the book was published, perhaps, and they, oh, okay, well, this is a traditional publisher. It's somebody I can trust. It's a trust thing. All right? There's a stigma with independent publishing, and it's going away because the fact is people are itching for more books to read all the time, and so they look past whether or not somebody's been published traditionally now. They never used to, but now things have changed quite a lot. So there isn't quite the stigma there used to be. However, that doesn't mean crap isn't still getting through and irritating people. So you're still going to have a bit of that stigma. Traditional publishers take money from you for three things, basically. They offer services such as cover design, editing, formatting, and of course, the actual publishing of your book. So, and that costs money, right? Especially if it's paperback. But otherwise, they have to distribute it electronically, which doesn't really cost much. But anyway, so all of those things, they charge you for, and they actually charge you a lot, if you think about it. See, if you publish through a traditional publisher, the people I've spoken to have said it's been anywhere from a nickel per copy up to 45 cents per copy that they sell, which is not a lot. If you publish as an independent author, there's a big difference, and I'll get to that in a bit. Now, the cons are that there is the bar to entry. You may get somebody who had a bad lunch that day and decided they didn't like your book. Meanwhile, the next day they might have actually loved it. You never know. So, and you only have one person looking at your book, and then they throw it into the garbage. So if you only have 6 publishing houses, that's a ferret scratching. If you only have, say, 6 major publishing houses and you send off your book to all 6 of them, and 6 people on the entire planet decide that your book is not worth publishing, or they just haven't gotten around to looking at it yet, then it's, you're out of luck. That is a huge bar to entry, okay? Now, and of course, there's more than one person vetting manuscripts at any given place, but they're usually genre specific. And, it's this person or their assistant, and they divide up the pile. They don't have one person looking at it and then they hand it off to somebody else and then that person looks at it. They only do that if they've decided that it's worth publishing, or they think it might be worth publishing. So if they decide it's not, then nobody ever sees it again. All right, so the second thing is a very big issue. It's ownership of your characters. If you have a series published through a traditional publisher, they may own your characters. And if that's the case, you cannot publish any part of that series, any one of those characters that has been published and is related quite often, depending on the extent of the contract. But all of a sudden, you're out of luck. You can't write the rest of your series if you end the relationship with your publisher for whatever reason, or they end the relationship with you. That's the other side of things. I have a friend who actually is, or was, published through a traditional publisher, writing a very long series, had, I don't know, 15 books, 20 books in the series, something like that already, and the publisher is refusing to let those characters go. And so if he wants to continue writing that series, then he has to publish through them. He has no choice. So that's problematic, especially if you have a problematic relationship with your publisher. All right, so they don't do any advertising or promotion, but then you don't get any of that if you're an independent author either. Number 4 is editing problems. And let me tell you, if you've read any mass market paperbacks and you are well versed in the English language, you're probably highly disappointed in the editing of the major publishing companies. And I don't mean like they've missed things that everybody would miss, like an of or the. Because those things, our brains just skip over them. We have a hard time with that. And that is understandable. Although 10, 15 people, somebody should be having a computer read it out to them. Anyway, the other issue is that they screw up homophone usage. They use the wrong form of discreet, the wrong form of compliment, or they'll just misspell things like pus, which has 1 S. 2 S's is puss, not pus, okay? Anyway, sorry, it was actually in a J.D. Robb series, which is Nora Roberts, but this is her writing her series that's futuristic, and I'm not trying to embarrass her because it's not her, it's her publishing company. I think it was the first 5 books, they misspelled pus. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is Nora Roberts we're talking about here. I mean, she's got a lot of cachet in the publishing world, one would think. But they don't seem to be spending a whole lot of time on her books. So to me, that's a huge problem because it's very jarring for a reader to come along and all of a sudden the wrong word is in place. So, editing problems, that's a big one. You want somebody editing your book who knows what they're doing. And you are paying them a lot of money to do that. And as I said, we're going to get to the lost revenue. 5 cents to 45 cents a book. I don't know what the actual range is. But this is what I have been told by authors who have traditional publishing contracts, and what I have also read in articles about this. So, not first-hand knowledge. I'm telling you that right now. So, maybe other people have great publishing deals with their publisher, but that's not the message I've been getting. So, okay. There are no advances, and you're not going to get that in independent publishing either. Just, because who's going to give you money for publishing independently? But you may have gone into writing thinking that publishers give advances. They don't, and they haven't for a very long time. I think very few big-name authors will get an advance because they know that those books are going to sell. But other than that, they don't generally take a chance financially on new authors. And if they do, it's a piddly amount. So, and that scratching sound is more ferrets. Anyway, okay, so that's the traditional side of things. Now moving to the independent side of things. Not having a BARDA entry is great because you don't have somebody telling you that you can't get those stories out there that you so desperately want to share with people. And that is a wonderful thing. Okay? So, Number two, much higher return on your investment. And there is an investment. I'll get to that later. When you're publishing through something like Amazon, you're going to get royalties like over $2 for Kindle, sometimes $3, depending on how much you charge, and whether you select the Kindle Select or you don't, because that makes a difference. Because the one you can only charge 35%, or sorry, you only get 35% royalties, and for the other you get 70% royalties. And there are, you know, good and bad points to doing that. So, and that's another video. I'll get into that another time. So, you get a lot more money. And that's a Kindle. A paperback, you can make a lot more money too. And this is why I don't understand why traditional publishers don't offer more. But that's, you know, that's their business model. All right. Full control. Meaning, for one thing, you have ownership of your characters, but also you have control over what makes it onto your cover, and whether or not something gets edited out. And there may be things that you don't want taken out of your book for very good reason, because it may be important later in the series, or maybe the editor's just not paying that much attention and not realizing that that was a vital piece of information that they just chopped. So, publish at will. That doesn't mean that you're allowed to publish. It means that you can publish right then. If you publish through traditional publishers, there could be a delay. It may be 3 months, it may be 6 months. They do all kinds of, you know, pre-publication stuff that really shouldn't take as long as it does. Because honestly, I can format my stuff, edit it, put a cover on it, upload it, and in less than 24 hours, my book is live. It's published. Anybody in the world can buy it right then and there. And if you are publishing something that is time sensitive, say if you're a nonfiction writer that talks about politics, then that is going to be time sensitive. I mean, unless you're talking about historical politics, but if you're talking about current events, you need to publish now. You don't need to publish in 6 months, because in 6 months, the information that you've included in your 6 months worth of research may be completely irrelevant by then, because then it's too late. Everybody already knows this stuff because you were too late getting it out there. So this is kind of an important point for anybody whose novel, or what, maybe their novel's time sensitive. I shouldn't say novel, but if you're doing nonfiction, chances are more likely that it's going to be time sensitive than if it's a novel. Then again, some novels actually are time sensitive. So, all right. Now, the cons for independent publishing. Like we talked about, no bar to entry, so there could be all kinds of sludge out there, and the stigma can be pretty big sometimes. Depends on the person. But you don't get a cover design, that's expensive. And this is where I get into that whole investment aspect of things, because you are literally investing in your own work. All right? You are paying somebody to design a cover for you, presumably, and that can be expensive. Now, you may be very good at graphic design, so that is to your advantage. However, make sure you're double checking the appropriateness of your cover, the effectiveness of it, because you might like something, but that doesn't mean it's going to sell your book. And that's what you have to keep in mind when you're looking at your cover. And that even if you're paying somebody to do your cover and it's not your work, you may love what they did. It may look awesome, but it may have nothing to do with your novel. So you have to make that judgment call and say, you know what, this isn't going to work for me, so we need to start over here. So that's a very important skill to have, is that ability to judge whether or not a cover is going to work for your novel or whatever. All right. So, and like I said, that can be expensive. You don't get any advertising promotion, like I said, and that can run into some money, but it doesn't have to, okay? It doesn't have to run into a lot. And I have a video planned for that. So, like I have a video planned for editing and a video planned for how to do promo. And, you know, editing is a big deal. If you have to pay for editing, it could get very expensive if you go to the right kind of editors. Now, you can get less expensive ones that are good, but it can be a crapshoot. And I would suggest that you be already good at editing if you're going to do that, okay? You can save yourself a lot of money if you have prepared your manuscript as much as possible before you send it off to an editor. They charge you per word, and if you have to send it back to them, they charge you per word again, okay? So, or they can, depending on what kind of agreement you have with them. So, all right. So that editing can be very expensive. It can run you thousands of dollars. All right. So between the cover and the editing and the promotion, you know, you're looking at $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. It's not cheap if you can't do the work yourself. Okay. So no advances, of course, and formatting. Formatting is a pain in the butt, I'm telling you. You know why? Because the templates are Word templates. It's not the fault of Amazon or anybody else. It's the fact that in most cases we're using Microsoft Word, and it is a bulky, awkward, non-intuitive program. Always has been, always has issues, and trying to paste from one thing into another can be a disaster. So it is something you will have to have patience for, and you will have to have skills in Microsoft Word. Sorry to tell you. If you do have those skills, it's still going to be frustrating. But it's another video that I'm going to make, is how to format your book with as little frustration as possible. It's coming. Trust me. Okay, so these are the issues that you're going to have to think of when you're making your decision on whether or not you're going to submit to a traditional publisher. And if you've already submitted and they've offered you a contract, whether or not you think it's worth it to sign that contract, because maybe you don't. Maybe you're sitting there going, you know, I can do this work myself and I'm good at this. So why am I giving them 90% of my money to do something I can do better? And if that's you, congratulations, because you're going to have a lot easier time as a writer, and you're going to make a lot more money. You know, that sounds maybe greedy to some people, but the fact is, it's the corporations that are taking your intellectual property and profiting heavily off of it. That's greed. You are just asking to be paid for the work that you have done that is a lot of hard work. So get out there, get writing. And if you're looking for videos about how to edit, how to format, and how to promote your book, they're coming up. So don't forget to subscribe. If you're curious, my Amazon link is in the description. You can look at my About page on there and obviously verify that I'm actually a writer. And you can also take a look at my t-shirts that are down there. I make funny t-shirts, or at least I think they're funny. And hey, who's funnier than me? Come on. I'm kidding. Really? I have a warped sense of humor. So if you have a warped sense of humor, maybe you'll like the shirts. All right. It's been nice chatting with you. I hope this has been helpful in making your decision, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.